So Miguel, welcome. Thanks to Liz Cervantes, who has done so much with Oaklander training and the VSOF. You were highly recommended to present to us about both what children have been going through with the legal system during this time. And please introduce yourself, and we really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for the invitation. It's a really honor for me to be at this meeting. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about me. I'm a psychologist, and a few years ago, I took a master's in family therapy. So I started to work with kids in therapy. At this moment of my life, I still working as a therapist, but only with adults and couples because my lack of time to work with kids. But after finishing the master's in family therapy, I decided to study laws. So when I was studying laws, I discovered the mediation. When I hear about mediation, I think that it was wonderful because it was in this area I could combine psychology and laws, and so I decided to certificate as a private mediator here in Mexico, specifically in Yucatan, and I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of families since 2016. And I have seen the benefits of mediation in families and in the kids. With the pandemic situation, as the rest of the world, we have seen a lot of problems. Our life changed a lot. But what I have seen with the legal issues, it has affected that the people could solve their problems at a judgment, because here where I live, the judges close their offices during 4 or 5 months, but here there are a lot of familiar problems. And what happened, the judgment closed, but the problems still are there. So for me, one way to solve that kind of familiar problems as a separation, divorces, is through the mediation, because the last year I had the opportunity to work with families, and I used the mediation. For me, what's important about this? When you solve a problem through a judgment, you only see who has the reason, who is going to keep with the children. And most of the time, the children are used as a weapon against the father or the mother, unfortunately. But in mediation, it's different, because we, the mediators, we have the opportunity to listen to all the family, and not only to listen them, that we have the opportunity to work the communication between all the members, between the kids and their parents, between the couple as a system, and we have the opportunity to work, not to focus on who has the reason. That's not important in mediation. What is important is how they can communicate in a better way, and how to we can take in account the feelings about this situation. For me, it's really important to promote this kind of legal services, because at least here at Mexico, the people, it doesn't, when they have a legal problem, the first thing that they think is to solve through a judgment. But I think that we have, the mediators have to promote this kind of services, because are better for the family. Because in my experience, what I have seen is that when you work with all the members, the communication between them change, and the way that they perceive the conflict change also, and it's easier for them to take agreements. Um, I remember in one occasion that one client tell me, I want to divorce from my husband, but I wanted to do in mediation. So we started to work with the family, and this was a family that had two teenagers from 15 and 16 years old, and one kid that was 9 years old at that moment. And I remember that this case, I worked with a friend of mine that also is a private mediator. And in one moment of the mediation, we told to the parents that we really wanted to hear to the kids. And the parents in the beginning, they say no, because we don't want to hurt him, because these are our problems, not from him. But we insist, and we told them that the kid is receiving all the problems instead that they don't want. So we convinced to them to hear to this kid, and we using playful techniques with the kids. My friend and I had the opportunity to talk with the kids and to hear what were their needs. So after we did that, we had another session with all the family, and the principal rule in that session was that the parents only were allowed to listen to their children, not opinion, or only listen. And I remember that in that occasion, the three kids wrote a letter, and they started to read this letter. And in this letter, they expressed all the needs that they wanted. This case in particular, they were fighting about who was going to keep with the kids. And at the final of this session, I remember that the dad and the mom told us that they didn't know about all that their kids told in this letter, no? And they were really impressed about the clarity, especially about this kid of 9 years old. So after having this session, for they were much more easy to take the agreements. And in this case in particular, the mom told us that she wasn't ready to take care about their kids. She really needed in that moment to uh, take care about her and to take therapy, because she wasn't in her best mode in that moment. So they decide that take care about the kids. But it was really grateful to see how the communication at the family changed, and how this had benefits to the kids. And for me, at this moment, I think that it's really important that legally we start to work with these therapeutical effects at the legal problems, because the judgment doesn't take it in account. I think I really, since the way I work, I'm really sure that the mediation is the best way to solve problems, especially because the mediation is not therapy, but it has therapeutical effects in the members of a family.
Can I ask a question that came up in the chat, Miguel? Is this,
Sure.
first of all, Catherine said it is interesting what you're talking about. And is this for more well-off people or wealthy people, or is this covered by insurance? Does anyone have access to mediation? Or do people mostly have to go through the legal system?
How is managed the mediation here at Mexico? Fortunately, there is private and public mediation. The public mediation, you have to go to a public institutions where you can ask for the service, and it's free. They don't uh, ask you that you have to pay. And if you have the opportunity to pay, you can go with a private mediator. And in the personal, here in Mexico, we live a situation where there is a lot of differences. Unfortunately, there is a really rich people and really poor poverty in a poverty situation. So in my personal case, I have worked in a little communities near from I live that they don't have the opportunity to pay for the services. I have I have done social services, and when I have the opportunity to cover to people who can pay the services, I do it also.
Uh-huh. That's so interesting. And one thing, I so appreciate you sharing what you do, Miguel, not just what you do, but how you do it. Because what you're saying is that you include the children, not just because you're a psychologist, but that's maybe why, because you're skilled at communicating with them, but it's actually helpful in mediating a dispute amongst parents. So good it's good practice for children, but it's also, it seems like, helpful in the work that you're doing in trying to help parents uh you know resolve child support or listening to kids.
Yeah, it's really important. Fortunately, I had the opportunity to prepare. Before studying laws, I worked a lot in therapy.
Yeah,
So what I do is to apply these techniques from therapy to a mediation. For me, the most important is to listen. When there are kids, for me, it's really important that the parents started to listen to them
that's
and
that's
to take them in account. For me, it's really important this part.
you froze a bit, um but thank you. And I'm guessing that we have a number of countries that are also uh present, represented here, and this issue of children's voices being heard during um parent disputes, divorce, is not unique to Mexico. Certainly in the US, we have this. Maybe people could put in the chat what your thoughts are about that, because I think that's something maybe we all have in common. Um, and but not every family gets the opportunity to work with someone like you, who's both a mediator and a psychologist. So they're just very fortunate.
I think so. But I would like to agree that also one thing that immigration do with the families is that they start to put limits between the problems that belongs only to the couple
Yeah,
and the problems that are between the couple and embraces to the children.
right.
So when the family start to put that limits, the communication change between them.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And there was another comment: when the children get a voice, um, especially when the parents are so attached to their own conflicts, that makes sense. Um, Having parents write
Yeah,
letters to kids and read it to the kids to bring in fuller contact. I love that. So, um,
this situation that I talked to you about, the letter that kids wrote,
yes,
for us was really surprised because we didn't planify that. But with my friends, my colleague, we took that letter, and we for us was really important that the parents listened the
yeah,
essence of that letter.
yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, Miguel, thank you for sharing this point of view. And Violet, what Violet often says is that children are impacted by more than just the family system. There's the legal system, the education system, the medical system. And sometimes it can be positive impact in the way that you're working. So we appreciate getting to hear from you, Miguel, and thanks for being here. I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.